I streamed Fur Hire on Dueling Book last Saturday, I wasn't for sure that this deck was really good. I mean, initially looking at their effects, you really needed your normal summon plus an additional Fur Hire monster inside of your hand just to gain your initial normal summon monster's effect. So that seemed like a huge drawback to the deck, but I'm telling you guys, this deck is a for sure bet as it has already topped some high level events and can be a ferocious deck to deal with it. Get it? Ferocious deck. I'm TheCaliEffect, and if you guys want to see more videos like this, then go ahead and destroy that subscribe button. More importantly, I'm going to make it impossible for you not to hit that notification bell because, well, we just too strong. I also want to give a shout out to all of my Patreons. You guys are freaking awesome. We actually have another new Patreon. I hope I'm saying your name right. Sean Rample. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope to have much more fun with you guys as well. Another thing that we also want to talk about is that our Discord is booming. If you guys want to know what deck profiles or what strategies or even what videos I'm going to be coming out with before everyone else, then go ahead and join that Discord. Or even if you guys want to share your ideas with the community, that is awesome. Again, I got to give a shout out to my man Unbound as well and Falcon17. Unbound for helping me run the Discord server and Falcon17 for winning our last Yu-Gi-Oh! Online tournament and getting a KGT reward. And then while we're here, I might as well just give a shout out to KGT Connection because without them, I wouldn't have this deck. Really awesome guy. If you guys are looking for cards or tokens, go ahead and check out his page as well. Links will be down below in the description. Without further ado, I present to you a competitive Fur Hire deck profile for this format. Alright guys, so looking into the stats of our ferocious furries, this deck is a pretty overall balanced deck. I think that the attacks, the defenses, the recovery, the power, everything is pretty balanced for it, which isn't necessarily a great thing, but isn't a terrible thing for this deck. We already know that it's already topped and won a couple of high level events, so I'm just gonna go ahead and start off and put this card's ceiling is a regional level event. Now, could it top a YCS? That is remain to be seen. I think that once people start innovating on the deck, it will become more and more powerful, and I feel like this is another iteration, another innovation to the deck to help solve this card's problems. And as well, of course, you guys have those budget options. So starting off with the monsters of the deck, we have 3 copies of Beat Bladesman Fur Hire. Now, this card is like the furniture of the deck. It's necessary because without it, your house doesn't have enough furs to keep you comfortable. And what exactly do I mean by this is that you can obviously, all the Fur Hire monsters have the effect, or all the little guys have the effect to special summon 1 Fur Hire monster from your hand to your side of the field. But more importantly, when a Fur Hire monster is special summoned to your side of the field while he's already on your field, you can gain the effect of search a Fur Hire, or I'm sorry, a monster Fur Hire from your deck to your hand. I love how Konami has changed this card's problem solving card text, not only to still fit in the parameters of keeping it the exact same way it is, but it says search a monster Fur Hire from your deck to your hand. So that's really good. So this is the reinforcement of the army of the deck. It is a warrior monster, so if reinforcement of the army itself does come off the list, he becomes that much more accessible, or she, we really don't know what it is. It actually looks like a girl if you ask me. Even more importantly, it looks like the girl off of, what's that show? I can't remember. It's a really cool movie. It's about a fox and a bunny. That's what it reminds me of. I don't remember the show's name. 3 copies of Seal Strategist Fur Hire. This is easily one of my more favorite cards because I just didn't understand how important he was. Of course, he still has the clause that you can special summon 1 Fur Hire monster from your hand to your side of the field, but when one of those monsters is special summoned while he's on your field, you can add 1 monster Fur Hire from your graveyard to your hand. So he's really important for recursion, and on top of that, since he can recurse the cards, he can special summon them as well. Next is 3 copies of Helmer Hellsman Fur Hire. She is an awesome card, and I swear if this is a guy, then I just don't know furries at all. What this card does is that when a monster is special summoned, or a Fur Hire monster is special summoned, a monster Fur Hire is special summoned to your side of the field, you can discard 1 card Fur Hire from your hand to the graveyard to draw 1 card. Now this card actually does fuel the graveyard as well as allow you to dig deeper into your deck, getting those combos that you need. Next is going to be 2 copies of Dampa Marksman for Hire. And when this card is special summoned, you can target, or when a For Hire monster is special summoned to your side of the field, you can target one face-up card on the field and destroy it. After that is Recon Scout for Hire, almost the exact opposite of Donpa. When a monster for hire is special summoned to your side of the field, you can target a set card on your field and destroy it. The only thing that I might change around is that I might run 3 Donpa and 1 Scout or 1 Recon, because Recon doesn't necessarily, it only hits set cards. So you're like, but it is another for hire monster that you can use as effect to special summon monsters to your side of the field. This card I actually thought was the most useless monster, for hire, until I realized it makes your deck or all your monsters of a higher plane. Get it? Because they're sky pirates and they're fur, and it takes you to a higher, okay, whatever. Next is 2 copies of Bravo Fighter for hire, and what he does is that when a monster is special summoned, you can have all of your monsters for hire gain 500 attack and defense. That actually does come up a lot. It makes him 2,400. It makes your strongest monster 3,300. So he's actually a really awesome card. I didn't think that he'd be that good, but he is important to the deck. And now that is it for the little guys. Little guys and girls. For the big guys, our main monster, our boss monster, is probably the fairest of them all. Cause get it? I mean, he's the fairest of them all. You guys don't get it. I'm pretty sure you guys will never get it. Raphael Champion for hire. When he is special summoned to your side of the field, you can excavate the top cards from your deck up to the number of for hire monsters with different names on your side of the field, and you can add one of them to your hand. Any one card that you excavate. At first I thought it was add a for hire, because I'm like, this card isn't that ridiculous. And then one of my streamers, or one of the viewers on the stream, pointed out it was any card, and I was like, what is going on? Kamani made this card extremely powerful, and it's probably one of the cheapest powerful cards in the deck. He also has another effect, is that when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can discard 1 card for hire. So if you ever hired it, to negate the activation. Now he doesn't destroy cards, but he's 2,800, has the possibility of being 3,300, so you'll never have a problem of running over an opponent's monster if you combine them with Bravo for hire. Next is 2 copies of Wiz Sage for hire. And actually, a lot of builds are running 3 copies of her, and I don't think she's a bad card. I decided to make more room for hand traps and such as opposed to her, because when she's special summoned, you can gain 500 life points for each monster for hire that you have with a different name except for her. So that effect isn't that great, but then you start realizing that, hey, time is going to be changing, the ways of time is going to be changing, so she might be a really powerful card. The real reason why she is in here is because when your opponent activates a spell or trap card, you can discard 1 for hire or 1 monster for hire from your hand to the graveyard to negate the activation and destroy it. Now it's not limited to monsters, my apologies. It's any card for hire, but it's really good for stopping spells and traps. I felt that 5 copies of discards would be, or anything more than 5 would be a little bit too much. And now there are some other monsters for hire that we didn't include. I don't think that they're that powerful. One of them says your opponent can't target your monsters for hire, all the monsters you hired, so it's not necessarily a great card. And then the other one, I don't even remember what it does. I think your opponent has to attack that monster first or something. They weren't great cards, but these are literally the boss monsters. I wouldn't blame anybody that ran 3 copy of Wiz, and I would blame anybody that ran 1 copy less of Raphael, or any less copies of Raphael, because he is the card of the deck. That's it for the monsters that we play in the deck. Now to the hand traps. We play 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Now for you budget players, I actually do have an entirely different budget build. So just sit tight, relax, and enjoy what we have going on here. And then lastly, the next cards are 3 copies of Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion. And I know you guys are probably flipping out. What? TheCaliEffect? No Ghost Ogre? It's the best card ever. Now, Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion is roughly $30 at the time of making this video. And if you guys do not pick up Ghost Bells and Haunted Mansions, you're literally setting yourself up for failure. This card is extraordinarily powerful. It is just godly in this format with Goki running around, with Sky Striker running around, with so many great decks and great strategies working around. It hits so many things. We actually had our sponsor player go to the LA Regionals, which was 574 people with 10-round event, and main deck these, and he came back with the most wonderful results. So inside of a 10-round event, testing this in the main board, he said that this was literally the best hand trap ever right now, and I'm gonna stand by that because I know how powerful this card is. Get these cards before it is too late. It'll be $90 for 3. It's better than playing 70 each for Ash Blossoms, which are 24s each. And if you get first edge, you're just swagging, all right? That is it for the hand traps. Next to the spells, 3 copies of Mayhem for Hire. This card's really important, or really good to the deck. I like it best because it's a quick play. I tried to emulate the being able to special summon as many for hire monsters from your graveyard to your side of the field, because it's so good, especially since you can trigger your for hire monsters once you special summon a monster on your opponent's turn. Now, cards like Call It 100 and Back to the Front seem like pretty decent ideas, but you can't activate them on your turn, making them extremely limited. Next is 2 copies of Pot of Desires. This is just 2 free cards for that. There's no other way to put around it. It literally is 2 free cards for this deck, especially since everything is 3 ofs. And then nextly, 1 copy of Soul Charge because special summoning for hire monsters are deadly. 1 copy of Monster Reborn because special summoning for hire monsters are deadly. 1 copy of Reinforcement of Army because, again, searching beat Bladesman of for hire is just deadly. I mean, I should just call them employed monsters because they really are hired for the strategy. Get it? All right, nah, I just made that one up. Something that I do run different from normal strategies, from the strategies that are running, I run 3 copies of Scapegoat and 1 copy of World Legacy Succession. Now, there's a really good reason why I run both of these cards. Scapegoat has already proven to be successful, really successful in Trickstar, because it allows them to make cards like really strong Link monsters, Borreload, when you combine it with other cards in a pinch, because you already know Borreload requires 3 effect monsters, but it's just a really terribly powerful card because it gets you into your Link monsters. Now, even more importantly, World Legacy Succession is basically a monster reborn, special summoning any of your for hire monsters to a linked monster it points to. And also, I figured out a really nifty combo for this deck. So you special summon Scapegoats during your opponent's end phase. You use 1 to make a Link Spider. You use the 1 under Link Spider to make another Link Spider. And then you can use the Link Spider in a token to make Nightmare Goblin. Now, you guys should already know what Nightmare Goblin does. It allows you to additional normal summon. You can also even point it to a proxy dragon if you guys want to get that additional draw, and you can activate World Legacy to get your summon. So basically, this card is amazing for link plays, it's amazing for recursion, it's just overall a really good card in this deck. And then lastly, I follow up with 1 copy of Solemn Warning and 3 copies of Solemn Strike. Now, I was having a debate on what traps should I run in this deck, and guess I do go first, and I decided Strike over in Warning over Infinite Impermanence, because Impermanence is a really good hand trap. It allows you to activate itself from the hand. It does have Disruption, but it doesn't get rid of the threat, whereas Solemn Strike in Solemn Warning does get rid of the threat. And as well as I have 6 hand traps into the deck, I have enough Disruption already, at least in my mind. So that's it for the main deck. I have 42 cards. I like to keep it at 42 cards when I'm playing Desires-like decks, because obviously Desires can be a pivotal card. It's a card just like girlfriends or girls in the club. You want to see them once and then you never want to see them again. Next for the Link monsters, 1 copy of Nightmare Griffin. This card is just really nasty if you can put it in the main monster zone. It also sets your spell cards back to your side of the field, hopefully not Pot of Desires. 1 copy of Saryuja Skull Drag. This card is also another really powerful card. Being able to draw 4 cards from your deck to your hand, and then even more importantly, be able to special summon monsters to your side of the field, which basically gets you an additional normal summon for this deck, because that is something that it needs, and triggers your other for hire monsters. 1 copy of Firewall Dragon. This card's also awesome because it special summons for hire monsters from your hand to your side of the field, but it's also a Winter Cherry target if you guys decide to go that route. Borreload Braggin is the best Link 4 in the game. That's pretty much it for the Link 4s. For the Link 3s, Chopologic Trisbana. This card is another godly card that we were testing out at the event because it gets over so many back row heavy decks. It messes with Paleo, it messes with Altergeist, it does so many great things. 1 copy of Nightmare Unicorn. I mean, you guys would think that this deck is legitimately a fairy tale. You have every furry in the book. You have unicorns, you have griffins, you have goblins, you have phoenixes, you have Cerberuses. You have everything to literally complete a Harry Potter book inside of this deck. But 1 copy of that, 1 copy of Nightmare Phoenix and Cerberus. These two cards are great spot removal. I really shouldn't have to explain these guys that much. And then the Goblin for the additional normal summon, extremely important inside of this deck. One copy of Proxy Dragon, you're gonna need it. It's one of those cards you're just gonna need inside of the Scapegoat based deck. Space Insulator actually is a really interesting card. I was looking at the deck and I was like, I have ways to make Link 2s, but if I make a Link 2 in my main monster zone and I have World Legacy Succession in my hand, I won't be able to continue with my World Legacy Succession play. And Space Insulator actually solved that problem because it has a link arrow pointing down. So now I can succession a monster to my side of the field and then use those monsters for another link play, or just make a Nightmare Goblin under it, or do whatever I want to do. It's just a really good card because it has an arrow pointing up and down. Its effects, we're not going to worry about its effects. Nightmare Mermaid, in case they try to Ibly lock me, you better extra link me if you're going to put an Ibly on my side of the field. Because that opens up so many combos. Link Karibo, because it is a scapegoat target, and 2 Link Spider for the combo. That's it for the main board and extra deck. Now let me show you guys this budget option that doesn't necessarily apply to the side deck. So identifying some expensive cards in this deck, I'm just gonna go ahead and identify Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring right off the bat, and then we're gonna identify the extra deck because that's what we're going to be changing. So your 3 Scapegoat and your World Legacy Succession. Now I'm gonna put 6 cards in this deck. I'm gonna leave the 7th card up to you guys, whether you guys want a main board, what's that card called? Called by the Grave. I think that's an excellent option. You can actually just start dropping other cards to main cards like Called by the Grave inside of your main board, or you guys can do whatever you please. So I'm going to take out those 6 cards, or 7 cards, and I'm going to put in 6 cards and give you guys an option for the 7th card. What I'm going to do is place an Eater of Millions and Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. This deck does not need its extra deck at all. Like 0% it needs its extra deck. So you can main board Winter Cherries and then run targets for your Winter Cherries instead of your deck, since you are not playing Ghost Ogres anymore. Eater of Millions also combos really well with the deck because there are times where your opponent does make a problematic threat on your side, on their side of the field, and you might want to get rid of it without using your Fur Hire monsters whatsoever. So Eater of Millions is a free monster in this deck. You run a 15 card extra deck that you more than likely won't be going into if you're not running Scapegoat. So that is a really solid budget option, and you guys might want to pick up Winter Cherries before they're too late. They are going up in price. So I'm giving you guys some sort of a market watch inside of a deck profile. I think I'm pretty awesome for that. But on to the extra deck, or side deck. And if you guys want to see that Vampire video, because we did have a vote, and Vampires barely lost. It was 36% to 40%. Vampires were like hanging in there. They were actually on top for most of the time. But Fur Hire got the job done. Get it? Fur Hire, job done. Go ahead and hit that like button. Let's get to 150 likes, and I'll get you guys that Vampire deck profile. 3 copies of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. I run that in the sideboard because it is still a really good card, stopping cards like Diagram, Pendulums, whatsoever. Called by the Grave. Again, this is a card that I really wanted to main in the main board, but I decided to put it to the sideboard because at the very least, it's still a very good card. 3 copies of Shared Ride. This card's actually really good against Brandish, Sky Striker. And I noticed that Sky Strikers can't OTK you. So, you know, I don't mind taking that 2100 damage or whatever you're going to do and then gaining like 8 million cards back to my hand. You guys can do that. I'm perfectly fine with that. Infinite Impermanences. If you guys can't afford Infinite Impermanences, you guys can substitute this for almost anything else you want. I think that there are some really good options right now. Anti-Spell Fragrance is a good option for slowing down Pendulums and Sky Strikers. And then 3 copies of Evenly Matched. For the people that can't afford Evenly Matched, go ahead and play those Winged Dragon around Sphere modes. Actually, you need to normal summon, so you might be forced to play Kaijus. Thank you guys so much for watching another segment of the TheCaliEffect. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, let's see if we can get to 150 likes, guys. 150 likes. I'll get you guys that Vampire deck, and we might even get you guys a dual video on top of that. Please like, comment, subscribe, but most of all, enjoy. I hope you guys are having a great day like I am.